I was kind of the class clown in school, the person that would talk back to the teachers all the time. And I've always said that Sex Pistols sounded like someone talking back to a teacher.
I would love to hear just how you got into punk rock. How did it start for you? What was your origin story?
Well, coming from Hermosa Beach, it was kind of right in our own backyard. But I remember I think the first thing that kind of really piqued my interest, looking back on all of it, is that I remember seeing in right when the Sex Pistols album came out, I remember seeing an article in the LA Times and going, "Oh, that looks interesting. I wonder what's that all about." I was kind of the class clown in school, the person that would talk back to the teachers all the time. And I've always said that Sex Pistols sounded like someone talking back to a teacher. That sounds like a smart ass, and someone not afraid of getting in trouble. And so I was like really drawn to that. And then, like, literally right at the same time, it seemed like in a very, very short amount of time, it was like Sex Pistols. And then I got Road to Ruin by the Ramones. And then I started hearing about this band Devo. And then the culture around us started to react to that. And we grew up in a very typical suburban, middle class, working class uh, city here that had a high school that, it was the same as any other high school in the country, except that we also had surfers and skaters. We had your jocks, your burnouts, your socias and your nerds and all that, but we also had surfing and skating and that delinquency going on. So all these people started to see us, shaving our heads and mohawks and and they started calling us, for lack of a better term, they started yelling Devo at you. You'd be like, "Hey, you're Devo," and you'd get your ass kicked, like you'd have to run from the older guys. They didn't like it that we were dressing weird, and you had to conform to the older guys' way of doing things, or else you'd get your ass kicked. It was a lot of fights went down in our town, but I just remember just being so stoked after listening to and hearing something. And my sister had brought home the Bowie album, David Bowie's Aladdin Sane, and I really liked the song Panic in Detroit and all that type of early proto-punk stuff with
Yeah.
Queen, and all that type of music that was kind of the bridge between punk and rock music.
Right.
And so that's where it happened, just being in the right place at the right time and reading about what was going on in the UK and in New York. But then the biggest thing kind of happened overnight, it felt like, was that all of a sudden we found out there was this band called Black Flag that was playing. And I'd see flyers on telephone poles and be like, wow, that looks heavy. Like, I wonder what that is. And then going to the local record store and buying their little 45 that they had, their little single that had Nervous Breakdown and Fix Me and all that on it. And then just, I'm like, these guys are from Hermosa Beach, seeing that on the label, and that just blows your mind apart. That's like, and then next thing you know, it's Descendants and the Circle Jerks, or flip that, Circle Jerks and then the Descendants. All of a sudden, all this amazing skate punk was coming out of our 1 square mile hometown. So that's how it came to me. It kind of grew up in my backyard.
That's amazing. That's got to be pretty incredible to be around that group of musicians. Just to be like you said, when you're at a record store and you pick up an album, whatever album, and you look at it and then you find out like, oh crap, this came from my town. Like There's a
Yeah.
couple of records that are from Houston, like recent albums in the last like 10 years that every time I talk about them, I get like this swell of pride because they're all from here. And I'm like, these are like my friends, dude. You should check this out. These are known as dude 20 years, man. Listen to this. It's really, really good. And
Yeah.
it's an amazing feeling.
Oh man, I on the street that I lived on that I would go to the beach every day was Janet Housden lived, and she ended up playing drums for Red Cross, which was Greg Hetson's band. That and the McDonald brothers, you know, and Red Cross, they're still playing, you know.
That's wild.
And then literally, Greg Ginn from Black Flag, his the house that he grew up in, when they say it's a stone's throw, I could literally throw a rock and hit his house. So it's not like these people were like lived up in the hills or somewhere far away. They literally lived around the block from us.
Dude.
Milo lived, you know, a couple streets over, and Bill from Descendants lived a few blocks over, and you know, these are all just concentrated in this very small area where all these bands came out of. So yeah, just like you, I'm fiercely proud of our heritage that we've gained for this little area of surfers and skaters playing skate punk.
Dude, that's so awesome, man. What a beautiful story. Man,
Yeah.
I would say that wraps this up beautifully right here, man. Thank you so, so much for hanging out with me a little while, man. I love your band, and I always will. I hope I'm over here talking about this shit in 25 more years. I assume on all the major anniversaries, I'll be talking about your stuff. So
Right on. Well, thank you. I
thank you,
appreciate you
man.
guys talking about it. I wouldn't have even known we were having an anniversary with you guys.
That's awesome, man. Well, dude, have a good time at practice. Travel safe, and hopefully I'll see you down here in Texas one of these days.
You will. All right. Thank you.
All right, brother. Thanks, Jim. Later, man.
All right. Bye.